In today's Brit and Poland, I take you along with me on my summer holidays, at least the first one of this year, taking you to the beautiful Toruń, coastal resort Ustronia Morskie, Gdansk, where I spent quite a few days, followed up by Gdynia, where we enjoyed a day, Malbork Castle, and Sopot. So quite an array of places to see. Stay tuned and I hope you enjoy. This was a lovely expedition and full of beautiful places for you to relish. Dzień dobry. Welcome to A Brit in Poland. This channel has a number of missions. The main one, to create a video for every place on this list. Though I could use your help. The help could be in a number of forms. You could like my video, you could subscribe to my channel, you could follow me on Facebook or Instagram, or you could donate to my Patronite account. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoy the video. So from today I have a new patron, Nico. Thank you for joining Ricky and Wojciech to help fund my adventures. So here is an idea of the route. We took a car to Toruń and Ustronie Morskie, and the rest was done by train pretty much. Toruń is by far one of my favourite cities. It was my second time here, and I can tell you the first time I went here was during COVID times and everything was closed and I still loved it. It's a beautiful city. Home of Nicholas Copernicus, home of, well, Poland's best gingerbread, and absolutely chock full of historical buildings, lovely monuments. It's a real time capsule of history. And I enjoyed every moment. I went with friends on this one, so Matthias drove us down, and a leaning tower, you may have noticed. You can see a lot of the kind of brickwork architecture. Primarily, I went to the museum and I got to make my own gingerbread mold. You can see me busy at work here in this little workshop that was in Polish, but it was still fun. And I really enjoyed it. And here you see some of like the 17th century molds. Some examples of maybe some of the more exotic looking gingerbread that you can get now. And yeah, this museum was great. I'm told there are 3 gingerbread museums in Toruń, and I'll have to go back and see more. Now, I also got to have time for a second museum, and this one was Nicholas Copernicus's house, which is basically now a kind of, it starts off as like an astronomy museum. It's teaching you about kind of the history behind astronomy with lots of really cool, like fancy interactive exhibits. You get to see all these kind of artifacts from Nicholas Copernicus's time. And yeah, it tells you about his life story as well. So you get a real good combination. Here is a dragon that my friend Piotr dismissed because it didn't look like the Krakowian dragon. You have a castle here, well, ruins of a castle, but still really cool. But yeah, Toruń, I might well go back this year because I'm thinking of doing another video on this. But this is meant to be a highlight reel, so I couldn't spend too long there. So we're taking the 4-hour drive from Toruń to Ustronia Morskie, and this is basically the sea. Yeah, it's a seaside resort. It's what I'm told is like a cheap seaside resort. It has a beach, and more beach and like a pier. Sorry, I'm being unusually harsh. Because this place actually had like little to no culture. It's purely a place you go to relax. And so we did that. We made sure we drank, though, to be honest, The weather was a little bit chilly when we went, which was unfortunate because it's the worst situation to have in this place. It's full of like market stalls selling all of the kind of stuff that your kids are going to scream at you to buy and you're going to instantly throw out the moment you get home. A few nice picturesque buildings. I'm struggling here. Lots of fridge magnets. Build up your fridge magnet collection here. Some interesting storybook chairs. But the most, and I have to be honest, the most interesting thing was this network of bunkers, which were kind of post-World War II. So Polish bunkers, though built in the kind of the Soviet era. And these things were cool. You could go inside all of them. They were all open. Some of them had a few warning signs, so we were a little bit careful with those. Some of them you could like climb around in. Here, Mateusz is having fun. We quickly discovered that this ladder wasn't a particularly good idea to use to mount inside. But it was pretty cool to see these bunkers. They were something a bit different. But yeah, being honest, this is the sort of place, I was happy to go once and probably never return to. So we're moving on to Gdansk now. And Gdansk, I have been several times before, and probably in my life I will go back. I have already done a video on this place, but it was one of my earlier videos, so for sure, I'm pretty sure I'm going to redo that. Maybe this year, because I think I have enough footage. We certainly did a lot of exploring on this trip, and I saw so many sides of Gdansk which I had missed on previous trips, and it really goes to show when you're going to a big city like this, you need to do your research, because if you just rely on finding stuff when you're there, you are going to miss so many little museums, so many interesting sites. And this is easily one of Poland's most beautiful cities, and one that you can just walk around and enjoy. We went on a trip to Westerplatte, which is kind of a peninsula, which was the site of, we can say, heavy defense against Germany during, I think, both World Wars. And here you have a rather spectacular monument to commemorate those struggles. And we went to the Amber Museum, which had lots of very nice looking pieces of amber. You got to learn about amber, surprisingly enough. And it was just a really cool modern museum, I think only a few years old now. And yeah, full of beautiful amber. If you love amber, you should go here. And Gdansk is just full of these little picturesque places. It's kind of photographer's dream. We went to the Umhagen house, but no, this is Arthur's Court, so jumping the gun. And here you just had some really, pretty rooms with lovely furniture, lovely artwork, and, a snippet of history to just kind of whet your appetite about some of the earlier years in Gdansk. This is the Umhagen house, or Uphagen, I forget the pronunciation. And this is like a tenement building from, I think, like the 18th, 19th century. And it's kind of preserved as it was meant to be. So it's in somebody's will. They were like, don't touch this. And so it's a wonderful snapshot of history. In the town hall as well, you have the local history museum, which was, again, a load of pretty rooms full of beautiful furniture, a little bit of history. There's my dad walking there. A little bit of history. But mainly you go there for just how incredible it looks. And at the end of the journey, you have a nice viewing port at the top of the tower, so you get a wonderful view of the city. I went to this old fort on the outskirts of the main city, which I'd not been to before. It was really cool to see Gdansk from that point of view. And plus, it's just nice to get away and into some form of nature. We had the Maritime Museum, which was, again, very educational and very, very well put together museum. So that was quite cool. We went to Olivia Park, which is this modern kind of office area with, again, amazing views of the city. Wow, like you'll never see Gdansk like this from anywhere else. And Olivska Park right next to it, which is a beautiful park. And you have a nice palace, which was under refurbishment, so we couldn't go inside. We went to the Ethnographic Museum, which was very small, and we found this cathedral just tucked away, and that was pretty cool, I have to say, rather unique. But yeah, a nice little diversion. And then we took a day to Gdynia, and Gdynia is, you could say, Poland's kind of naval stronghold, or at least it certainly used to be. And it's a very modern city. It's more of a workers' city. You'll find a lot of people living here. So probably a lot of the people who work in Gdansk probably live in Gdynia. It's quite industrial as well. And, you know, some question the architecture, others will love it. Depends on your personal taste. Here we found this lovely raised park, which was, you know, kind of, you wouldn't think it was there. It was kind of hidden behind a lot of trees. But you get this nice view from a kind of viewing platform. And that was, yeah, something I hadn't seen before. We ventured to the kind of museum area. I think this particular one is a theatre. But we went to, like, you know, the local history museum. So we learned a few insights. There were a lot of powerful stories about residents from Gdynia. We took a little bit of a stroll along one of the beach areas, grabbed some food. We saw this statue just, you know, perched on a rock. We saw these incredible monuments. Gdynia is absolutely chock full of monuments related primarily to the sea. Surprisingly enough, here, one to Joseph Conrad. And of course, you saw a few boats. This one was one of those tour ships that takes you around. This was the old battleship, I think one of the biggest in Europe or something like that. It has some claim to fame. Looked pretty impressive. Again, monuments, fountains. I mean, they've done everything they can to make Gdynia stand out and be memorable as a city. So, yeah, but this was the icing on the cake, the Emigration Museum. Absolutely incredible place where you got to learn all about, you know, the people that have come to Poland, the people that have left Poland, their stories, their journeys, you know, what they achieved. My parents found this museum to be incredible. There's a whole wall of potatoes. They're fake. But it was talking about Ireland, so you learn a lot about Irish potatoes, and, you know, something that Poland and Ireland have in common. You know, here's a little bit about, like, the Polish people who went to Britain, and really cool. Yeah, Gdynia, nice place, nice day out, you know, and my family certainly enjoyed it. Then we took a guided tour to Malbork. So we used one of these local companies, and they got a driver to pick us up from the hotel, drive us to this castle, which is the largest brick castle in Europe, which probably means the world, right? I don't think anyone can really compete with that. It's incredibly breathtaking. We had kind of a local guide there who was, you know, very passionate. And though my parents maybe had a little trouble hearing her at times slightly because of the accent, slightly because of all the crowds of children that were running around the place, we still had a wonderful time viewing this castle. And I would go into details on the history. I have done a video on this already. It's a terrible video. It's one of my first videos, and I really, really will redo this one, probably this year, because the story of this castle is worth telling. And it has a lovely amber museum. So, yeah, it makes a fun day out. It's a really breathtaking place, really beautiful place, a lot of interesting history. You know, Teutonic Knights abound. You know, defences, medieval defences, you know, lots of battles took place here, a lot of reconstructions. And the final place on our tour is Sopot. And Sopot is one of my favourite cities, even more so after this trip. It is just beautiful. It is truly beautiful. Everywhere you go in Sopot, you're like, oh, that's nice. Oh, that's nice. You know, it's colourful. It's got this kind of kitschness. It's got a monument to a bear that fought with the Polish army. You've got this crazy twisted building. No, that is not a visual effect. That is what the building looks like. It's actually a shopping centre. You have one of these kind of hanging statues. The maker is from... anyway, I've covered him in other videos. It's a beautiful place. Sopot is lovely to walk around, especially if you have the right weather for it. That's the thing with this part of Poland, is the better the weather, the more you will enjoy yourself. Lots of fountains, lots of squares, lots of impressive architecture, which really takes your breath away. Amusements for the kids. I really need to experience this place at night, though, with friends, because it is also one of these places which is famous for its partying and its drinking. We went to the local history museum, and that gave us a snapshot, because this place was basically like a spa town. It was somewhere that people went to relax. Of course, you have the beach, and the beach is what really makes this place. Yeah, you're going to love the beach there. It has the longest pier in Europe. This part of Poland really has so many claims to fame. And, you have the beautiful sea air. You have this wonderful monument park, which you can stroll through. And there literally are monuments everywhere. As quirky and weird as you like. And I think actually inspired by a British artist. We went to the archaeological museum, which again was pretty cool. They had this kind of reconstruction of a 9th, 10th century fort or something like that. That was just something a little bit different. Nice to see. My dad really loved it. And it was a nice bit of a trek. I escaped the parents and went to a modern art museum because, bless them, they were tired. Again, this British artist, I don't know his name, but he makes all these weird things. There was an upside-down skeleton there, which I thought was pretty fun. There was this room full of weird sleeping bags being attacked by alien jellyfish monsters. It was impressive. And I finished up the trip by going up the lighthouse, mainly because I always love to get a viewpoint whenever I go. So, had some nice alternative views of the city. Wonderful, wonderful. What a great trip. A week and a half spent just enjoying all of this. So I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did taking this trip. Expect little videos of all these places to come, and of course many more videos about Poland to come. So thank you very much for watching. Do zobaczenia.